Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Good evening, Masa al khair, everyone. I welcome you all in our webinar session. And today we came up with very unique and very interesting topic: money laundering and cross-border financial crimes. Money laundering poses a risk to financial sector stability, in which cash is also widely used in the criminal economy. The physical transportation of cash across an international border is one of the oldest form of money laundering and is still widely used. We are hereby joined with us Mr. Prabhu, our Director Treasury and International Relation. We are joined by Mr. Prashant, our Board Secretary, Ms. Fathi Al-Maskari, Director Training, and myself, Hassan Ahmed, and our distinguished speaker, Mr. Bharat Jeswani. Without any further delay, I will call Mr. Prashant for formal welcome address. Over to you, Mr. Prashant.
Thank you, Hassan. Good evening, Masa al Khair to all the members and guests. On behalf of the ACFE board, I would like to wish you and your loved ones a blessed Ramadan filled with joy, harmony, and countless blessings. Ramadan Mubarak. The last webinar we had on 27th March saw a participation from almost 25 countries, which is a testimony of your support to our chapter. Thank you for that. Kindly continue to support us through your participation. This motivates us to plan interesting session like we have today. On behalf of the board, I welcome you all to another interesting and significant topic, investigating money laundering. I'm sure we all are aware about ML, and Hassan spoke about it, but investigation requires a different skill set. Today, we have someone who will be sharing his knowledge on this topic. I would like to welcome Mrs. Fathi Maskari, Director Training, to introduce our speaker for today, CA Bharat Jeswani. Over to you, Fathi.
Good evening, everybody. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mr. Bharat is 15 years experience in forensic accounting, fraud investigation, due diligence, internal audit, fraud risk management. He is also the author of the book, The Frauditors. He is a member of the expert team for drafting guidance notes on forensic accounting and investigation standards. He is a visiting faculty of ISAI for forensic accounting and fraud detection, trained CPI, worked with income tax department assessing search operation and special audit, and he been a consultant to Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. He completed more than 80 forensic auditing globally. Welcome, Mr. Bharat. You can start.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, all of you, for the very warm welcome. And before I start, I have a very good news to share with everybody, all the participants here. So I wrote this book called The Frauditor last year, and it did unexpectedly, overwhelmingly well. So I'll be coming up with another edition, which will be a global edition, which would come by May end or June for The Frauditor. And just last 2-3 days back, I got the news that our Institute of Chartered Accountants of India has included this book as a part of their curriculum in the certificate course of forensic accounting fraud detection. So now this book has gotten all the validation. So thank you so much. So I just now jump to the topic, as we are already very short of time. So thank you so much. So we'll just start with investigating money laundering. Now, money laundering, as we all know, so there are two steps basically. There are two aspects of money laundering that is most important for all of us to understand. Based on that, we'll discuss how do we plan the investigation for money laundering. So there are two aspects. One is an unlawful activity, illegal activity, or a criminal activity, which is the source of funds. So this is, for example, somebody is extorting money, doing some kind of corruption or kidnapping, some way, or some kind of fraud. Okay, so this is the source of money, and that is illegal, unlawful, or criminal. So this source of money cannot be disclosed, obviously. But for the person to be able to use this money, they need to launder it. They need to clean it. So this is dirty money. Now this dirty money needs to be cleaned. So the process of cleaning this dirty money is called money laundering. And in most of the cases, but this is what is the concept behind money laundering. But what really happens is, in any case, like in India, we have Prevention of Money Laundering Act. There are different laws named in different countries, though they have very similar concepts. And globally, as much I have researched about money laundering, they are all very similar. So in any money laundering case, you have to prove two things, the two aspects. One, that the money was first earned through illegal or criminal means. Second, something was done to clean this dirty money, to launder it. So these are the two steps that everyone has to prove in a money laundering case. So we'll be discussing all the stages of the process of how to, begin your investigation, how to plan your investigation, what all aspects you have to consider, everything that needs to be considered to have a successful investigation, effective investigation of money laundering. So as we all know, everybody knows that money laundering, the second part where you actually clean the dirty money, it has three stages. This is called three stages. So we'll just broadly discuss. Then we start the core investigation aspect of money laundering. So the first stage is called placement. So when you get illicit funds, when you earn this criminal unlawful money, then you would be obviously cannot directly use it, and that is mostly in the form of cash. These days also in the form of cryptocurrency, some untraceable kind of asset. So now you have to first put that money into the financial system. That is called that stage of putting your illegal cash into the financial system is called placement. That is the first step. So placement is the first stage. That is the stage where the launderer is most vulnerable. So if in any investigation, if we can identify that money laundering has started, the process has started, and you can identify who are the players at this stage, it would be the best, because at this time the person is most exposed. This time he's carrying a lot of cash, which has to be brought into the financial system as a first step. So this is the time when they are most exposed, and this is the best time for an investigator to stop this whole thing from happening. The next stage is called layering, wherein the money which has been invested, brought into the financial system, is then rotated between many companies, different shell companies, different bank accounts located in different countries, so that the money moves around so much that you cannot identify its source. It is basically it is cleaned. It is very difficult to know where it actually came from, because the money will just move around all around the world, and then it would come back to some financial institution, which is some bank account or some company which is being controlled by you. So after the layering has happened, it is very difficult to identify the source, and it is very difficult to correlate that the money has come from this specific criminal activity, which can be used against a criminal, to convict against for a conviction. So it is very difficult after the layering has happened. So after the layering, the final stage is integration, wherein you bring back the money into the system in the form of some asset, and now it is already cleaned, and then it has lost its connection to the source, which was dirty money. And now it can be used very easily, and it can be put to use. So this is the time when integration is happening. The launderer is safest at that time. So if we could not catch them, by this time it is very difficult to do anything at this stage. So this is the basic of money laundering. We'll just so we have discussed what does money laundering mean. Okay, it is a very big challenge globally, and there are two reasons majorly why money laundering is such a big problem. Number one, the money, uh, those people who are laundering money are mostly criminals, because they have gotten the money through some illegal activities, through some unlawful activities, and now they want to use this money. Now currently they cannot, because it is all concealed at the moment. After laundering it, they are capable of using that money. So they, if they cannot use it, it becomes useless for them. uh, just earning the money does not make any sense if you cannot use that money to, you know, live a luxurious life. So by if people are able to launder the money and use it, like in a very comfortably, if they are able to use the money, so this, you know, promotes more of criminal activity, the original unlawful illegal activity through which they earn the money, because they are aware that, you know, they could convert the money into legitimate money and use it. So that is the reason why they are not scared of doing more of the illegal activity which helped them earn the money in the first place. So this is one thing, it promotes more criminal activity. So if we can curb money laundering, then the criminal does not have any incentive to, you know, do the crime itself, because they know that even if, okay, I am into I'm a person of influence and I can get a lot of bribe from people. So but I cannot use that money, because even after getting the bribe, there is no way to put that money into any kind of use. So if when you realize that, then there is no incentive to take the bribe itself. But however, if you feel that whatever money I'll be getting, I could, you know, just clean it, launder it, and then put to use, so then that would motivate you to continue this activity of taking the bribe. So this is the reason. So another reason is that, you know, it totally destroys the economy. So people are working really hard, making money, and they have to pay taxes on whatever they earn. And here there are criminals who are just, you know, doing illegal things and not paying any taxes and enjoying the proceeds of crime. So it creates a very big imbalance in the economy. So that is the reason why curbing money laundering is very important. However, they are the most complex investigations, because there are too many different type of entities involved normally. If I have to launder money, as I said, in the layering process, I would be moving the money around the world, trying to use as many companies. And there is something called as trade-based money laundering, TBML, which is the hardest to detect. So when there are two parties, I am in India, somebody is in Oman, and I need to move money to Oman. So what I'll do is that I'll ask them to send me an invoice for say 5 crore rupees, 5 crore Indian rupees. And the invoice is for some kind of consultancy services which I don't need, which nobody's going to provide. And but they just issue a bill, issue an invoice, and then I just pay the 5 crore rupees. So my money has reached Oman, and the whole scheme is successful. And in this global business environment, it is extremely hard to detect which of these transactions are genuine, actual business transactions, and which of these are, you know, fake, just to launder the money or move money around. So for that reason, it is one of the most challenging form of investigation which involves money laundering. So there are sophisticated schemes, mostly very rarely do they are limited to one country. They are mostly moving around the world. Uh, of course, tax havens are the favorite uh, destination to move the money, but there are more than one country, more than one company, more than much more than one bank account is involved. And now with the emerging technologies, like cryptocurrencies. The cryptocurrencies again have brought in a new challenge for investigators, because they are new, and since beginning there has been some gray area when you talk about the trail of cryptocurrencies. So all the countries have come up with some or the other law to maintain this trail, to curb the misuse of anonymity which these cryptocurrencies provide. However, still I do feel there is a lot many loopholes are still there, and cryptocurrencies, because of the anonymity that they provide, there is a lot of scope to move money around. Because even today, without there are still some entities, such exchanges, that help you trade in cryptocurrencies, buy and sell cryptocurrencies. So not all exchanges, not all countries have a very strict KYC when it comes to cryptocurrencies. So it is very much possible that you can buy cryptocurrency from some country, and then move and to some other wallet, and then maybe convert it to cash or something, or some other asset. So it is very easy for one to do that, and it happens in within seconds, split seconds. So these new technologies present new challenges. Of course, we are also, as investigators, we are also advancing in technologies. We are also having new tools at our disposal. We are also looking at new ways of analyzing data, machine learning, artificial intelligence. All of these things are predicting the patterns that criminals are using even before they start doing those patterns. Artificial intelligence and machine learning can predict what would be the future trends in frauds or laundering money. So okay, that is also that is also helping us. So uh, we need a very systematic and holistic approach when we are dealing with money laundering. There are various areas. You need to be expert in finance, as you need to understand how the funds have been moving. You also need legal expertise in your team. So one person cannot be all of them. You have need to, whenever there is a money laundering investigation, it has to be a collaborative effort. You need experts in different areas, like those people who can analyze the data, who can understand how the funds have been moving, or what kind of anomaly has been observed, uh, what people who can create the profile using the publicly available information and information from other sources. Then you need legal experts, because when there is a case of money laundering, as I said, it normally involves more than one country. So you need to understand the laws and the regulations of different countries, and how to get the evidence, how to get the witness testimony, all that. And then somebody with the investigative acumen also, like certified fraud examiners, who are globally the best with fraud investigations, definitely gold standard all over the world. So they also form a very important part of the team when it comes to money laundering investigations. Okay. So in all our cases, mostly what we need to have is a dual track strategy. So what is dual track strategy? As I said, that any money laundering case involves two aspects. So one is the case of a criminal activity. So there has to be some criminal activity, unlawful activity, which is to be involved. After that unlawful activity happens, do the money comes in. Okay. Now, because this money cannot be used, this money needs to be converted into some other form which will be usable. So this process of converting the money into a more usable form, that is the laundering, that is the financial side of it. Okay. So most of us, I feel we are not the experts in doing a drug bust or getting into that extortion camp, and we are not experts. We are the experts in the second aspect of the which is a financial transaction, how the money is moving, the trail of the money, and identifying how it was layered, how it was integrated. That would be our expertise, and that is where we would be focusing. But our team needs to have people who would also be investigating the unlawful activity. Let's just assume if somebody is selling drugs and making money and then laundering it. So we would be the experts in analyzing the movement of funds, but somebody who is in the narcotics department or somebody who has an experience with how the drug business works, they would also be a very valuable resource in the team. Okay, so both these aspects are important in any investigation, in any money laundering investigation, because you cannot prove money laundering in a court of law unless you can prove both the aspects, which is the unlawful activity and the uh, laundering of money. So you need you need to prove both the aspects, and for that reason uh, we have to understand both the aspects. Now, the imperative conclusive proof, most of the countries in the world, they need to prove both the aspects, and they need to prove it conclusively. That is the one common thing, because see, the law uh, for money laundering in most of the countries, it is a very draconian law. Okay, the punishment is very severe in most of the cases. So in most of the legal systems, there is one thing which is common, that even if criminals go unpunished, that is okay, but not even 100 criminals can go unpunished, but even a single innocent person should not be punished. That is the principle behind most of the legal system. So if you want to put someone behind the bars, if you need to prove money laundering, which is a very severe crime, so you need to have conclusive proof for everything. So for that reason, the investigation becomes very what do I say, crucial, and the evidence that you collect, the whole planning that you do, how you collaborate with different experts in the team, uh, and of course there are many a times there is a lot of there are influential people involved, so you need to deal with them also, that we won't be covering in this webinar. That is a very subjective topic. But yeah, in real world, in real life cases, you need to deal with many things. So it is very important that all the aspects are top notch if you need to close a money laundering case successfully. Collaboration, as I said, it's very important, not just when you talk about the investigation part. Collaboration is important from the beginning, when you are collecting the financial intelligence. So this whole process of fighting money laundering, it starts uh, from the financial institutions. So most of the financial institutions, they need to report suspicious activity to their regulators, and that is where mostly the first step comes in for any kind of an investigation. When they identify some kind of a suspicious activity, some bank account which is doing transactions which do not match their profile, or there is a sudden spike in transactions in a particular uh, entity, or money is being sent to some tax haven and it does not make any business sense. So that is how normally an investigation would start, because that is where they get the tip. So it is very important from for the, like, those aspects are also very important. The investigation starts in later, but having a strong intelligence aspect is also very important. Then evidence also very, after that also, you know, the whole process, the collaboration should be very good with all the experts. There should not be any ego clashes, and all the domains should be clearly identified as to who is doing what. All that is very important. And then you know, evidence handling, collecting the evidence, the strategy as to, you know, where do we go? Should we start with the criminal activity, or should we focus on the financial aspect, or should we do it simultaneously? All those things, all those strategizing, planning, everything is extremely important and crucial. Okay, so then of course we need to also adapt to evolving techniques, because the, excuse me, the launderers are always money launderers or criminals, financial criminals. They are always coming up with innovative ways to, you know, do the crime. So they are always, so we also need to be very innovative when we come to preventing these crimes and also investigating these crimes. So okay, so we will be okay, techniques, what kind of techniques, what are the procedures that we'll be discussing. uh, so as I said, there would be, you would need analytical people who can analyze data. And when we talk about data, it is not just the financial data. Okay, you need to identify relationships, you need to understand, you need to do the profiling of people, of entities, you know, where are they, what kind of entities do they have, what, how are the entities correlated, and you know, which countries are they operating, how many bank accounts does one have, all these things. So there is a lot of different type of data, so we do need data analyst experts who need to collaborate with, I feel, fraud examiners, because you know, they can analyze the data but they do not, cannot make sense out of it. So the fraud examiners normally tell them, you know, what to infer out of this, what do they want from this data, what is the inference that they want to draw. Okay, then you need field investigators, those people who would be doing some, you know, covert operation, you know, collecting data secretly, doing undercover operations. All these you need investigators. Or there could also be some, you know, semi-overt or direct overt method wherein you directly interview the people. So you need good investigators. I said you need, obviously I told you that we need the legal team. Legal team is extremely important. You need lawyers or legal experts throughout the investigation. They will be, they should be consulted at every step. They should be you know, they should be informed of everything that we are doing, because it should be legal, it should be you know, you should be aware of the consequences. uh, you cannot you know, take hurt anybody's privacy rights, or you could not obtain some data illegally or by coercion, so, and because it will become inadmissible in a court of law. So there are so many things that need consideration. So for that we need lawyers, we need digital forensic experts. Sometimes you need to get data. Now these days everything is basically digital. Okay, so all the, in most of the investigations which I do, I never really need to analyze any documents. Even the contracts are, they are all smart contracts, they are all there in the system. So all I need is the hash value for everything. So that is what matters, you know, all the conversations, all, if you have to prove intent, you might need the conversation that happened between different people. So all of that is in the digital form. Nobody sends you know, letters these days. So nor do they people maintain documents or keep anything in the physical format. I think it is very passe. So this is it is very important that you will be aware of digital evidence. You might not be an expert, but then you will need somebody who is in your team. So it is very important to have all these different types of so diverse investigative techniques. So one is the financial aspect. You will need financial analysis to trace the funds. So what our purposes in any money laundering investigation is that we need to link the two. One is that some crime or some unlawful activity or some illegal activity was done. From that, money was earned, and then that money was laundered. So first we need to prove that money was earned through unlawful activity, and that same money was laundered. Okay, and then you link the two, that this is the money which was laundered, which was actually earned through the unlawful activity. So to prove money laundering, these two have to be proved, and they two have to be linked also. Okay, so for financial transactions, of course, you need the financial analysis. You need to trace the money. You need to find from how which account it has moved and where it is finally reached. And then you need to link this whole trail to the source. The source probably some illegal activity from where it started. So these are the two. And to identify, you know, if some illegal activity is being going on, you might probably need undercover investigation. You need to see drugs being sold. You need to record somebody who is selling the drug or something of the sort. So there are two different aspects which we need to manage. Okay, gathering evidence. So there are different ways of gathering evidence: covert, semi-overt, and then overt. So covert is where you are undercover. You are just simply collecting evidence without the subject knowing that anything is going on, anything is happening. So that is the safest way, and that is in any investigation, that is the should be the logically it should be the first step. Because first you should, you know, once you get a tip, first you should try to collect evidence in a covert manner. So, you know, identify all the public information that is available, look through the public information, or uh, be undercover, follow the subject, see how they are interacting, how what kind of transactions they are doing, all these things. So that should be the first step. Right now the subject or the suspect has no idea what is going on. They are not aware of that the money, they are being followed or information is being gathered against them. Then once you have exhausted all the covert, then you go for some semi-overt. Semi-overt approach means, you know, you could go to the bank and, you know, you could collect data about the entity, how they have moved funds, whatever they have done with the funds. But very important thing is that you would be risking the blowing of your cover. So what you can do is that you can, you know, ask them. You can of course request the banks. Uh, you can legally also enforce that the bank does not share this information with the suspect or the subject. But still, even if you do that, still some information gets shared, and it normally happens. It is a very normal part. So that is a semi-overt method of collecting data. The final is the overt way, wherein you directly, you know, bring in enforcement. You directly contact the subject, you call them for interviews, and you collect directly, rate them, and collect the you know, evidence. So it has to progress covert, semi-overt, and overt. That is the logical and as I would say, the best practices in money laundering investigations. Okay. So when you are doing, let's talk about the financial aspect. Okay, what kind of financial analysis do you do? Okay, then you analyze the bank deposits. Some banks, there has been a lot of activity which cannot be explained, does not make any sense, or the money has been coming from entities that belong to tax haven, or you see that this the bank account whichever has been opened for an entity, they must be having a specific kind of profile that they are into this kind of business, and the deposits that are being made in that account, they do not make any sense. Okay, then there are net worth calculations. So what you have to do is, now a person can be an owner in multiple entities. They could be owner in multiple entities through different companies or through their relatives. So you need to understand that link that a person has to different entities. So you have to do link analysis, you need to create their profile, and relationship analysis. So there are tools and softwares available for all this. Okay, wherein you can, whatever information you gather, you just give that input, and it creates a very proper graphic diagram, I think, which you see in movies also, when there are so many people and there are some linkages, there are some flow charts and some arrows that link, and then how they are linked. So there are some very good tools and softwares available to do that. So after, when you are aware of how a person is related to different people, then you can understand why they are transacting with each other. uh, does the transaction make any business sense, or is it just to launder the money, or something else is going on? And once you know what kind of entities that this person owns, so then you can do some kind of a calculation as to what is their net worth, and should be their net worth based on the normal business. Okay, so after that, you can identify that these movement of funds, they do not make sense, or they appear to be fraudulent, or to be helping with laundering of money, or something like that, or there is some unexplained wealth which has come. So it probably would have been earned through illegal activity, then laundered, and then now it has come to them. So when you cannot explain the wealth, how has he earned the money, then it is probably earned through some illegal activity, unlawful activity, and then laundered. So now undercover operation, as I said, it is the first stage of covert operation. That is normally not for the financial aspect, but since we are discussing the whole of money laundering, it is mostly used to analyze the criminal activity. So when criminal activity is happening, for that we need undercover operations. I have been very lucky that I have in the start of my career, I have been involved in many undercover investigations, not for money laundering always, but to fraud cases. And they are the most complex, they are the toughest cases, but the most fun also, because you create a different identity, a complete new identity, and then you have to pretend to be somebody else, and you have to keep your cover, and you need to get the information from people, and you need to ensure that this information that you gathered, or the evidence that you collected in the process, that would be court admissible also. So it is the most complex and most fun thing to do also. So as I said, yeah, collaborative approach in all the investigations, we need a collaborative. So starting from the financial intelligence, then working with the legal team, the data analysis team, the investigators, even the presenters of the case, somebody who's managing the whole case, who's going to actually present it in a court of law, mostly lawyers only. but you need to be very cohesive. You need to work as a team. There has to be a very strong collaboration, and if that does not happen, then mostly cases are not closed properly. Okay. Okay, there are, as I said, there are many softwares and tools for transaction analysis, link analysis, all these things. Uh, and we need to be aware of them, and we need to have them with us. Legal tools and procedures. There's very, as I said, it's very important. Normally, more than one country is involved, and you need to have very strong legal team so that you can, when you go to the last stage of overt, so you need to get warrant, subpoena, all these things. Different countries, they have different rules, and even though somebody could read the text, could understand how things are, it is very difficult when it comes to the real deal. Okay. I remember we had a case in India which had some impact in Singapore and in Dubai also. So for that case, we had hired one of the biggest lawyers to work with us on the case, and they had assured us that we are well aware of the laws in internationally also, in different countries also. However, our experience was that it is only the local lawyers are actually aware of how things happen. Maybe I'm me being in India, and I'm reading about the law in Oman regarding financial crime investigations, law related to fraud or law related to money laundering. Maybe textually, if I read, maybe I understand how things are, but a lawyer who is working, they know exactly, how much evidence is acceptable evidence, what could court accept, what would not be acceptable, all these things. Even though textually, maybe I can have an idea, but when you have to actually practice it, is best to, involve people. So as I said, collaboration is very important. Adapting to new technologies is, so as these tools I told you about, there is link analysis, relationship analysis, analyzing transactions, identifying trail of money. There are many softwares and tools that are available in the market, and different tools for different countries. I don't. We have a financial analysis team who uses some specific tools, and they provide us the results. So there are but we need to have somebody in the team who is aware of these tools and who is capable of handling them. Okay. So we'll start with the initial steps, and we are almost like we have like 15 minutes. Okay, so I will just run through the most important aspects of all of this and proceed. So initial assessment and planning. First, when you're starting an investigation, you need to be aware of what is the thing that you need to focus on. Okay, is it the criminal activity that needs to be first our primary priority, or is it the laundering of money, the money aspect, financial analysis aspect? So you have to decide that in the starting itself. It could be both also. You could go on both the lines also, but it also depends on what is the, if the activity has ceased. Activity, I'm talking about the criminal activity. It happens many a times that somebody has earned a lot of money doing some criminal activity. Now they are just laundering that money. Okay, it happens. So in that case, the criminal activity has ceased. So now going after the criminal activity should not be our priority, because we cannot prove it. As I said, let's assume selling drugs is the criminal activity in our case. Now, if I have to prove that drugs are being sold and money is being earned, which is being laundered, I cannot, because I cannot catch anybody selling drugs because they have seized that activity. So now my focus area has to be investigating the financial aspect, the laundering of money. So that should be decided. If the activity is going on, then it is better to probably first prove that drugs are being sold, because maybe they'll stop doing it very soon. So that could be the source of information is very important. Where did you get the initial tip from? Is it credible? Many a times it happens that somebody is extracting revenge, so they just provide you some wrong information, or there are some false positives, because banks and financial institutions, they need to report suspicious activity, so they have some rules. So there is a very high possibility the genuine transaction has come in and it has been flagged as laundering of money or criminal activity. So you need to be very much aware of the source of information. Decide the case development strategies, when I said which area to focus step by step, how, and that strategy changes also as more evidence comes in. You will change your strategy. You might focus more on some aspects which are provable. There is also very important thing, which is asset recovery or asset tracing. See, if some criminal has laundered the money and then they have moved the assets out of the country to some tax haven or some place, and now we cannot recover the money. So that it is practically, it has, this whole investigation is very futile, because in the end, the person still escapes with the money. You can put that person behind the bars, but their family will enjoy the proceeds of crime somehow. So that is also another important aspect which we need to include in our case. As I said, ongoing versus ceased activities. Financial intelligence also we have discussed, comes from the start. Collaboration, jurisdictions, you need to understand what kind of jurisdictions will be involved in this case. Accordingly, you need to have the legal teams in different countries be there. You also need to understand cases wherein there are time barring cases, and also be aware of what kind of evidence is acceptable in different countries. How harsh is the system, how cooperative is the system, all these things. It is the best option is to always engage some legal expert in the country where you are investigating. Okay, dual track strategy we discussed. Simultaneous investigation of unlawful activity, financial crime, this also we've discussed. Okay, I think this is a bit repetitive. Information in flexibility of investigation, you need to be very flexible as you go through some info. Maybe there is a possibility that whatever source you have had, in primarily you've thought that this investigation requires all this and this is what you need to prove, but after some processes that you have done, you realize that this investigation is not going anywhere, and the original tip itself was false. There was a false positive or some wrong information. So you need to be very flexible and you need to change your strategy. In most cases, I feel the challenges are first with the financial, not the financial crime, the unlawful activity. When you are doing these covert investigations, which is the best way basically to collect information and evidence, now you have to be very clear how to understand the admissibility of this evidence, whatever you will be collecting through the covert methods. Okay. Second, you need to be aware of the privacy rights, what kind of privacy rights different countries, so that you should not be exposing yourself with that. With financial transactions, I said the biggest challenge comes in trade-based money laundering. I said the transactions, they merge with regular business transaction, day-to-day business transaction. It's very difficult to distinguish which one is real, which is genuine, which one is not. Okay. Then legal, as I said, most of the people are aware of what is legally acceptable. but only you should work with local legal experts. Interagency cooperation is very important. All the different experts and agencies that would be involved. Okay, we have discussed judicial authority, resource sharing, pooling expertise. Okay, there should be continuous communication. International partnership and information sharing. This also starts from the start. You know, financial intelligence, we need to share it not only with our enforcement but globally, because the crime happens globally. Money laundering as a crime, it happens globally. So international information sharing, if it is strong, mutual information sharing is strong, uh, at the beginning of the case, also after investigation is started, if they are aware of somebody who's using their country for laundering the money and they share the information, if all of that is strong, then that really helps. Okay, there are various jurisdictional disputes, there are ego clashes. People are not aware of, you know, what aspect do they have to look into, and they are not aware of their role. So that is a very big problem. So because any money laundering investigation will always be a collaborative effort, it is very important to manage the team well. Okay, I think what kind of specialists will be required. Will require financial analysts, legal experts, intelligence officers, fraud examiners, asset recovery specialists also from the start itself, because if the asset is not recovered in the end, it is very useless. Information technology specialist, of course. How do you collect them? First, you create a profile for somebody. What kind of business are they doing? What kind of activities is expected? Then you observe if there is something anomalous, something that does not make sense. Then you do the covert investigation, try to gather as much information without letting the subject know, then go for semi-overt, and then go for overt. Okay. Okay, legal frameworks, legal consideration is very important to understand the legal frameworks. Statute of limitations, when you issue statute of limitations, you know, when the time has passed for reporting some kind of crimes, and when you issue it also depends, different countries have different laws, so all that has to also be understood. Okay, asset forfeiture considerations. Okay, this could go on. I think this could be, I'll just go for presenting the case. When you are that is the last aspect. When presenting the case, you need to understand that first both the aspects have been fully covered. You have covered the criminal activity and the financial transactions also. You have proper evidence for both, and both of them are linked. Secondly, the case should be presented. It is very important. It should be presented properly. You should use graphs, graphics, or some way which could help clearly to the jury how the funds, what was the source, what evidence do we have, how the funds have moved, and now where they have reached. Okay. Witness testimony, expert input, all those things are of course part of, but it's very important that the case is presented in the most simplified manner. You have evidence of both the financial activity as well as the other activity, the criminal activity, and all of it is very cohesively presented in a court of law. Visual aids will help, and okay, you need to respect privacy laws. You need to manage your public and media considerations when you are dealing with a high profile case. Okay, preparing for trial. All these are though general, is not specific to money laundering cases, but yeah. Okay, I think that is my time. Uh, I tried to cover as much insight I could give. Though money laundering as a subject, as a topic, it as I said, it could take more than a week to actually understand different aspects of money laundering investigations. However, I hope this session you actually learned something and you had a good time. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jeswani. We have few questions as we have short of time, but we'll try to take some few questions and quick answer from your side.
Right.
So how you will investigate PE entities?
Sorry, sir, I did not hear you. How will I investigate?
PE entities.
PE
Entities.
What are PE entities?
They just try to PE entities.
Permanent establishments.
Permanent, yes.
Sir, I don't understand the specifics of the question. Could you elaborate a little bit? Then I would be able to.
Sir, I will coordinate with the question person. Okay, the next question is, what is self-money laundering and how legislation in this type is emerging in different laws? Self-money laundering.
Self-money laundering.
Yes.
Okay. Again, I think I don't because I've never heard this term self-money laundering.
By the way, someone asked me yesterday itself this term actually. Okay, the next question, how have you came across the banks are accused for money laundering?
It's not that I have come across it, is banks are very much sometimes involved in helping their clients launder money, not just in our country, our countries maybe, but when you're talking about tax havens, their banks are the way to actually launder money, because they will be very much supportive when you have to launder funds. But yeah, in countries like India also, there have been many cases wherein banks have been involved in laundering money.
Thank you. The next question is very big, sir. Is there a link between sanctions and money laundering? For example, in scenarios where these sanctions imposed from one side and some political reasons which don't have any legitimacy from your view, however, you are a part of a system being used and monopolized by the imposed regimes. What is your opinion in these cases?
Sir, your voice cracked. Okay, I just heard that, first if there is any sanction and money laundering.
Money laundering.
After
Yes.
that, it was, I think the signal broke in the middle. After that.
Okay.
So
the next is talking about the scenario.
You could repeat the question also, sir.
Yeah. Is there a link between sanctions and money laundering? In scenarios where these sanctions imposed from one side and some political reasons which don't have any legitimacy from your view, however, you are a part of a system being used and monopolized by the imposed regimes. What is your opinion on these cases?
Okay. So what I understand is that a sanction has been imposed. Okay.
Yes.
But there is no reason for the sanction. It has been imposed for political reasons.
Yes, correct.
Is it? Okay. Correct. And then, then.
And you are a part of the system.
Then somebody would be. Okay. Okay. So that happens. See, that happens very commonly. What happens is, see, politics, of course, is a very dirty business. Okay, so what happens is that very recently, again, we cannot speak of it because we currently do not have any evidence of it. In India itself, in the political scenario, we have been seeing very recently that one of the politician of a party has been put behind bars, and they have been, there is no concrete evidence. There is no money trail which has yet been established against the person. But however, based on some approvers or some people who are testifying against the person, uh, there has, but I do not, I cannot comment if he has been involved in money laundering or he has not been involved in money laundering. So the thing is that in the system is very corrupt in most of the countries I'm aware of. So the politicians in most of the countries, they use these laws of money laundering to affect the people whom they are fighting against, or to extort money from businesses. So it is what it is, and one good thing that is happening is because now these days evidence is digital, and the legal systems are more proactive, they are more effective, they are growing effective, they have become more proactive. So the real thing that matters these days is evidence. Even if you are very powerful, if you evidence is the real thing. So I think slowly the world is evolving, and even if the systems are corrupt, but with this developments that legal systems are improving, and evidence is being considered in most of the cases, I think we are looking at a better future, much better future.
Thank you so much,
I
sir.
don't know if
Uh,
I answered the question. Yeah, I mean,
okay,
I hope
sir.
I did.
The next, sir, we'll take the last two more questions. Some professionals take money in hand directly, not through the system. In this case, how it will be account? He will count this one, and how the bribery working in this money laundering.
Okay, so we are talking about taking
Yes.
bribes in cash,
Yes.
and then probably they want to know how do we investigate that, the money that has come in. So first of all, normally bribes, when they are taken, the person who is taking the bribes, they are very cautious. They would take it without anybody seeing this bribe being taken. The money has to go somewhere, because when you have received money in the form of cash, it cannot be used by you. Because if I buy some luxury car, or if I buy some expensive anything expensive, it will obviously be noticed by people. So what would be the best option for somebody? It would be to either invest in real estate or some kind of asset wherein cash can be easily mingled with legitimate funds. So if they do that, uh, some people may do that. Otherwise, some people would just move the money outside the country, and then maybe bring it back through some other entities, through some kind of transactions. So then there are patterns to see, money coming out from different countries, and there are patterns to identify shell companies, and money which is coming in will not make any sense, legitimate sense. So those, I mean, we can look at it case to case basis, but that is the only way when you can identify these patterns, because once the cash has entered the system, it becomes more and more difficult after layering is happening and then integration is happening. So at the time of putting in the cash, as I said, that is a time when the launderer is most vulnerable, when they are using smurfs, different bank accounts to put in cash. They are trying to avoid the suspicious transaction reports. That is the time when we can capture them. I mean, that is the best time to get hold of them.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is cryptocurrency usage becoming more and more common in money laundering. How difficult is to
Yes.
get evidence of the same and does not stand in the court of law?
So cryptocurrency is used a lot in money laundering because of the anonymity which it offers, And as I said, what happens is that in various countries, they are coming up with laws, very strict laws related to cryptocurrency exchanges, wherein they are just trying to curb this anonymity by making the exchanges do a lot of KYC to get maximum information about the person who is using the cryptocurrency. So wherever all this is happening, the cryptocurrency it becomes like a normal transaction, like a normal banking transaction. So it loses the anonymity. Wherever the countries are very strict, where they are not, it is going to be like cash. Okay, and you can create a wallet, and that wallet they can put in funds, and they can move it anywhere in the world, and then they can get it. Uh, then they can use that funds. They can convert it into cash, and they can use that funds. So in that sense, if it is a tax haven, then you cannot cryptocurrency will be cash. So there is nothing much can be done in that case. If in other cases where there is a good law, then there is a law for evidence also. When you need to cryptocurrencies, there's a proper trail maintained, which wallet, how the money came in, how it went out. So depends on country to country basis when you're talking about a case of cryptocurrency.
Sir, the
I
last
think
question I will say, how would you
yeah,
investigate
yeah.
money laundering? How would you investigate money laundering cases where complex products such as treasury derivatives, commodities are being used as a part of integration stage?
Okay, so derivatives are being used as a part of integration state, which means that money has been brought in the form of after being layered across different countries. Now finally the money has come in the form of derivatives. Okay, that is what an integration in the form of derivatives means. So now probably, so there would be patterns, so where is the money coming from? So we need to identify the trail. Okay, it has been invested in derivatives, but now the money has come from some kind of a company or some entity. So then we need to look at their bank accounts, their bank statements. Now theoretically all this is very easy to understand. We need to just follow the money backwards. Now it has come to derivatives. Where did the company that invested in this, where did they earn their money? How did the money come to them and from before? But in the practical sense, when you are dealing with companies in tax havens, it becomes absolutely very difficult because they have very good secrecy laws. So you cannot get those bank statements. The directors are advocates who have client privilege secrecies. So there, most of the cases when it ends up in secrecy heaven, tax heaven, no, then it is a dead end in most of the cases. So uh, frankly, honestly, what I can say is that it is easy to launder money if somebody is smart and they can figure out ways. Still, we are not living in a world where there is complete transparency, and we can just if there is a company is a suspect, we can just look at their bank statements and identify all the trails and movement of funds. It is not there. There are many countries who are not cooperating. They are in the blacklist or gray list of FATF, but still, and they are not interested in getting in the good books of FATF. So, in practical sense, there is a lot of difficulty when you are investigating such cases, when there is some, black hole from where the money is coming.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I will call Mr. Prabhu for the vote of thanks. Over to you, Mr. Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sanawat. On behalf of ACFE Oman chapter, thank you, CA Bharat Jeswani ji, for your practical insights and sharing your thought process and the investigation, and taking all of us along with you on this investigating money laundering and cross-border financial crimes. And we look forward to have you, physically in Oman sometime in the near future. On behalf of the thank you. And we also congratulate you
continue.
On your the frauditor has been recognized by the ICA and being part of the syllabus for forensic accounting and audit practices in India.
Thank you so much, sir. I would love to be a resource in any way, physically or in this form of webinar or any kind of research also. I'm very thankful to you for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge and expertise with the participants. And as again, I would say thank you for inviting me, and I hope that the participants did learn something today, and it was a beneficial session. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, and we look to have your continued engagement with the ACFE Oman chapter in the near future also.
Would love to, sir. Thank you, sir.
We also thank our sponsors, College of Banking and Financial Studies, for their continued guidance and patronage to the ACFE Oman chapter. I also thank each one of you who are attending this webinar and for the active engagement of yours with the ACFE Oman chapter. Thanks to all our invitees, guests, and especially we have so many guests from the Middle East and US, Australia, and New Zealand. And look forward to all your continued support to the ACFE Oman chapter. Our special thanks to all my board colleagues, Ms. Fatia Al-Maskri, Mr. Hassan Ahmad, Mr. Prashant, Mr. Murad Al-Baluchi, and Mr. Khalil Al-Rawawi. Thank you very much. And over to you, Mr. Hassan, for the formal closing.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prabhu, for the welcome vote of thanks. And thank you so much once again, Mr. Bharat, for a very informative and wonderful session. And I will request everyone, please follow our LinkedIn and all social media accounts to get updates for our upcoming sessions. We are having in a few weeks, inshallah, we will come up with another very interesting topic. Please stay with us through this LinkedIn and our all social media channels. Thank you so much and have a good night. Take care.
Yes, Mr. Hassan, let us have a group photo on the all camera. Where is Mr. Bharat? Okay. Thank you.